Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another video. I'm here with Ethan from Wheelsboy. He's been kind enough to meet with me here at the beautiful Moller Villa in the French Concession of Shanghai. Thank you for joining me, sir. It's good to finally meet you, man.
It is a pleasure to meet you as well. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so what I wanted to do is just kind of chat with you and find out what you're all about. If you don't know Wheelsboy, his channel deals specifically with the Chinese auto market. And you know, my channel, I've been talking about that a lot. I'm a big fan of yours, by the way, dude.
Thank
so
you,
yeah, I mean, your knowledge base and about the technology, about Chinese cars and everything is fascinating. I watch it and I learn so much. And then it's funny. I'll tell you this: you did a video on the Geely Jiaji.
Yes.
And a week later, I did a video on the Jiaji.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, and I haven't released it because it's compared to yours. But I actually learned so much from your video, and I found myself regurgitating the exact same words that you were using in your video. I was like, okay, this is wrong. I can't do this.
Well, no, that's very nice of you to say. That's kind of what, when I started doing this, I was almost afraid that was going to happen to me, because I have been watching YouTube videos of cars since like 2009.
Yeah.
And to whenever I got in front of the camera, I'm like, who am I? Because you don't know who you are in front of a camera until you actually start. And so I'm like, am I going to suddenly start talking like Matt Farah from The Smoking Tire or something? Or am I going to try and do like a Jeremy Clarkson impression?
Maybe Doug DeMuro. The quirks and features. Right?
I swear, if you go to the comment section of my videos, that is one of the most commonly said things. It's like, you're the next Doug DeMuro, man. That would be super nice. We have a guest. This is our third guest. A very short-term guest. We appreciate him appearing. Have a good day.
Just goes to show you how an independent vlogger can make YouTube videos and become wildly successful.
It's all about finding the niche. To finish my previous thought, because I do want to talk about niches, but yeah, no, the two people, it's Doug DeMuro and then Logic the rapper. I don't know if you know about Logic.
I've heard of Logic. Don't know his music,
the white rapper.
The white rapper.
I do get compared quite a bit to Logic. People are like, yo, I didn't know Logic was reviewing cars. And I had to go and look it up. And they're not that off. I mean, honestly, when I wear my glasses, we're both vanilla-looking white guys.
Okay, fair. So where are you from?
So I'm from North Carolina.
Okay, and how long you been in China?
I've been in China 6.5 years now, from 2014 till now.
Okay, and you went to school out here, is that right?
Correct. First time I came to China was in 2013 when I was still doing my undergraduate in North Carolina. I did a master's degree at Wuhan University, and that was 4 years. So a year of continued Chinese language study, 3 years of the degree itself.
Okay, all right.
That was taught. It was international relations, but it was taught in
So your Chinese is really good.
It's okay.
It's
yeah.
okay. Everyone's so humble. It's a fascinating language, fascinating culture. So
I'll tell you what. When I was in high school, I tried to learn Spanish, and this is nothing against Spanish. It's a beautiful language. I just couldn't get into it, and
no se habla español.
No habla español. No. So I was a weird kid who was like reading The Economist when he was, like 13 years old. Your mom gets a haircut, right? There's a bunch of magazines. If there wasn't a car magazine, that's what I was going to go for.
Okay.
And so when you're reading about these kinds of things, politics and economics, China's going to come up.
Sure.
Even in 2006, 2007. And so I decided then I was going to, once I started reading books and stuff about it, I decided I should try and learn Chinese. And my parents were very supportive of that. My dad always said, trying to figure out some skill you have that can separate you. And when he saw how bad I was at Spanish, he was like, maybe try Chinese.
Okay. Because that's not something you normally hear, That's, if you're that bad at Spanish, maybe try the hardest language.
Let's get back to the car thing here, because
we
were talking about niches. And this is a very interesting thing. And this is something we talked a little bit about before, which is that there are so few people talking about the Chinese car market in English in China.
Very, very few.
In 2019, it was a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend kind of thing. I was having lunch with him, and he said, hey, your Chinese is pretty good. I have a couple of Chinese friends that are automotive media that are looking for a foreigner to do car reviews in Chinese. And I said, I was born for this. Let's go.
Okay. So you started doing Chinese car videos in Chinese.
Correct.
On the Chinese platforms.
Correct.
Okay.
And so that's where I got my start, and it was a huge gift to me, because when we started to do English language videos almost a year after that, I'd already done, more than a dozen videos at that point. And so I was comfortable in front of a camera.
Right, you had that camera presence right down.
Yeah, I mean, whatever camera presence I have, but it was I was comfortable. I had kind of somewhat found a voice, and so being able to do these reviews in English was almost like you you just ran half of a marathon in a weighted vest. Now take that off and run the rest. It was like I felt supercharged.
Okay, yeah.
Because all of a sudden I could express myself exactly how I wanted to, unless I messed up the script, which, I sometimes do.
But I noticed you keep some of those imperfections in your videos sometimes, too.
Yeah.
Which is great. I think it's wonderful.
Yeah. We have what is called a full review, which is something where I have a vehicle that I have maybe a week to drive around, to take notes, to absorb and really think about how I feel about it, and then put out a video that's a scripted video. But it turns out when you point a camera at me and you don't give me a script and you have me talk about a car, I cannot shut up.
Okay.
So our quick reviews were 14 minutes.
Well, then you're a producer's dream, man. Because I'm serious, the producer's no script, and you're gonna keep talking. Freaking go for it! Create all the content. It's wonderful, right?
Yeah. It's a dream to have enough content to work with.
Yeah.
It's just trying to sift through all of it.
Yeah. What do your friends think about that, man? They're like, hey, you can't shut them up about cars. You got prepared. Nobody wants to talk about cars.
Well, yeah. I mean, everybody that knows me knows that if you're walking on the street with me, I'm going to interrupt you at some point in the middle of like you talking or me talking, just to be like, hey, did you see that thing that drove by?
Yeah.
That you probably, as a friend, my friend, do not care about, but I'm going to talk to you about for a full 5 minutes.
Yeah, a funny fact, But
yeah, and on and on. And growing up, that's exactly what I would do riding in the car with my mom, for example. And, it must have been half a dozen times. She would turn to me and literally say, like, what are you going to do with this? Like we're driving and I say like, hey, that's a Mercedes-Benz SL. I mean, that's like the whatever RL or whatever something generation. And my mom she's looking at me, what are you going to use this for? Why are you filling your brain with all this stuff?
Very good.
And finally I can go to my mother and be like, look, Mom,
okay,
I'm doing something, Mom.
What was the first car you reviewed?
So our very first car, when we first started out, we did what so many automotive channels do, which is we did the cheapest and easiest thing, lowest investment thing we could, which is that we happened to have a secondhand car dealership near our office. And so we went over to the boss and we were like, hey, will you let this white guy drive your car and talk about it? And then we'll just mention the fact that we got it. If somebody wants to buy it, it's over at your dealership. And he said, of course, sure. Very nice guy.
Free marketing for
exactly.
him. Yeah.
And so the very first car we drove was a 2004 Lincoln Town Car.
Okay. Was it L series, S series? Was it the?
It was
was it a former airport kind of
Oh no,
town car?
I think it was a private owner, but because it was imported from the U.S.
Yeah. They didn't have they didn't have Lincoln back then.
Not that generation.
Yeah.
On this Lincoln Town Car, we have an ongoing rotating group of guests.
That's okay. They're a little distracted. We just keep talking.
And so
it's China, right?
It is. But it was. Hold on, edit this out.
No, I'm not editing out. I'm keeping that in, man. Totally keeping that in.
Yes, this is where we do vlogs. Anyways, yeah, it was a Lincoln Town Car, and for me it was awesome because.
Was it black?
No, sadly.
What color was it?
It was like a champagne. The other very classic Lincoln Town Car color. You can picture it in your mind.
Yeah.
My grandfather growing up had a Crown Victoria, a Ford Crown Victoria, which is the same car, right? It's just different badges and a little different interior.
Cop car.
Yeah, the cop car. And yeah, well, he would tell stories about getting people thinking that he was a cop for sure. But and so it was awesome because it was like going back in a time machine and being in my grandfather's Crown Vic from 2003 with the phone in it and being like, I would have been like, I would have been like 12 or 13 at the time, and I was just like, great, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. One of the things that sets our channel apart is we do car-to-car filming. So
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, we have a Volkswagen Polo that we got literally just to do, that's the work car, just a super cheap Volkswagen Polo.
A bunch of GoPro mounts on all over it.
Even better. When you film, if you're getting footage of the front of a car for us, that means that my videographer is in the back seat with the hatch open with his gimbal, right? Like this over the back seat, holding it for 25 minutes at a time. He's a hoss. So what do you drive?
I drive a Havel H6.
Oh, you have an H6?
Yeah, I love it.
With a stick.
With a stick. It's a 2012.
Oh, shoot.
And I bought it secondhand. It's currently got about 130,000 kilometers on it.
Nice.
And I bought it, just needed a new clutch bearing, and threw that in there, new tires, new brakes, everything. Thing runs like a champ.
You actually know how to work on cars, right?
Not so much. No,
okay.
I mean, I can change
Thank
the oil.
God. That's fine. I probably know less than you do.
I'm not a big. No, I'm not. I don't turn wrenches or anything like that. There's the other great thing about owning a car in China is that the maintenance costs.
Oh yeah.
Are night and day compared to that in America.
I did a video. It was a Chinese language video because a lot of the videos I do on like Douyin, right, for Chinese audiences will be like, what's the difference between Chinese car market and U.S. car market, or Chinese American car culture and American car culture. And one of the ones I did was, how much does it cost to maintain a car?
Great content, wonderful
yes.
content.
And it's definitely some of our most popular stuff. But the example I gave was, so the average like hour labor cost in China, let's say it's 100 RMB. Is a pretty good. It can be less than that. It's like 80 RMB, right?
Depending on what city you're in, yeah.
Yes. And so, whereas what I did is I actually got my brother is a technician at a BMW, a private BMW shop in the U.S. So they make like 1,000 horsepower M5s and stuff. He does what I wish I could do if I had any skills with my hands, but I can't. So I talk.
Okay.
But I got him to record a short video where he was like, "Hi, I'm Ethan's brother, and we charge $115 an hour."
Oh my gosh.
And the Chinese audience was like, "Get out of here, that's like 750 RMB or whatever." Every
time I go take it in for an oil change or anything and I get the bill, I'm like, are you sure this is it?
Did you actually change it?
Right. So owning a secondhand car, everyone told me, don't do it. You're going to spend so much money and time with this car in the shop. And that has not been my experience at all. It's been a wonderful experience owning a secondhand car. And I don't have the depreciation of the vehicle that first year. I can probably turn around and sell it for the same price that I paid for it right now. You're a new car guy. Right?
Well, I'm a new car reviewer, but at heart, I am a secondhand car lover. Don't get me wrong.
Wait, tell me about the cars you've owned. What kind of cars have you owned?
Oh, see, this will be a short conversation because the only car that I ever drove in the States, the only car I ever quote unquote owned in the States, was what I drove in high school and through university, was a 1998 Mazda B2500 pickup truck.
Regular cab or extended cab?
Regular cab.
Wow.
Single cab.
Stick shift?
No,
sadly. A little four-banger in there,
four-banger,
right?
Yes.
Okay.
Basically it's a Ford Ranger.
Right?
Yes. Yeah. All it is a Ford Ranger.
With a good-looking truck, though, man.
I loved it. Yeah. Man, we call it the Dragon Wagon.
Did you have the four-wheel drive one?
Oh, no,
okay, because the maintenance on that was crazy.
Apart from the automatic transmission, my truck was quite literally the most base model you could possibly get.
Bench seat, vinyl seat?
Oh, no.
Cloth,
baby.
Okay, cloth.
Literally only take 2 people in the car with me. Though I was on the cross country team, I was a lot thinner then, and I had a lot of very thin friends, and so we would cram 4, sometimes more people.
I had a regular cab Toyota pickup, 91 pickup, 4x4
nice.
During this time, and we crammed quite a bit of us in that cab, dude. It's amazing.
Yeah. The one
I had a stick shift too, so you had to move your leg over. Okay, the second.
Reach between your buddy's
third,
legs.
Move your other. Okay, going to fifth now, right?
All right, you shifted. I can't reach fifth with you sitting there. You do. You're
exactly,
in charge.
You're
in charge of
That's
fifth.
exactly what it was like. All right, let me ask you this: growing up as a kid in North Carolina, what cars were you exposed to? What kind of cars did your family have? You get driven because that influences a lot.
It does
on our adult life and what cars we like to drive.
So growing up, we were a van family. So
minivan or full size?
Minivan.
All right.
So we didn't have an Astra or anything. We first started out with a Chrysler, the OG Chrysler minivan.
Okay.
It was a Plymouth Voyager, actually.
Plymouth Voyager, defunct brand.
Now defunct, yes. And then my mother upgraded to a Windstar, and then growing up, my dad would always have a car, and so it was like a Toyota Camry. He bought a Volvo, I think it was a 740 sedan.
Okay.
That thing is made of like pig iron. That thing was an absolute
tank. My mother had an S80.
Yes.
For like 15 years. Super typical suburban lifestyle with the minivan and a sedan in the driveway.
Yes.
And, how many brothers and sisters you have?
3. Yeah, I'm the youngest.
You're the youngest.
And so my brother and I were the ones that shared the passion for cars. And my dad also likes cars. I mean, he's probably not as a lunatic as my brother and I are. But, at some point my brother and I split off, where, as I mentioned, he's a professional automotive modifier and repairman and stuff like that. technician is the word they use.
Do you plan on staying here long term?
Yeah, I mean, the channel is going well. I'm enjoying it, and so I don't really have a lot of incentive to leave. If I were to go back to the States, certainly my Chinese partners that I work with they'd be fine with it in some level, because I could just do Chinese language videos in the U.S. I'll tell you, one of the most viewed videos I ever had on Chinese platforms was when I was stuck in the States back in February, and I just took my phone out and I went, "This is my dad's F-150 pickup truck." And I just spoke in Chinese about it. No script, off the top of the head, just showing people the inside of it and stuff. And I think across the platforms we got 500,000 views or whatever. And so it was incredibly popular.
It's amazing, the F-150 being the most popular vehicle in America. My pops has two of them. You know, he bought one in 2000, and the damn thing's still running, almost like 300,000 miles on it. And he went and bought another one, and I try to convey not just the popularity, but the size of an F-150 Super Crew or Super Duty.
Does he have an extended cab?
He's got the 4-door. You know, he tows a big trailer with this thing. You know, a typical retired American.
Yeah.
A fifth wheel.
Good for him. Yeah, fifth wheel camper. Yeah.
Yeah, very, very. This thing is a beast, and it's so big. I see a couple Raptors here and there, but they're so rare.
So I did a review of an F-150 in Shanghai.
Okay.
A Chinese language one. Driving an F-150 in Shanghai is an insane thing to do.
I can't imagine.
And I wasn't I wasn't in Shanghai proper, in downtown. I was out in the suburbs, and still it was nightmarish.
Was it just the navigation of the roads, or you get a lot of gawkish views? And
well, it was definitely navigating the roads, because you take up the entire lane.
Right.
But the other thing, I made the mistake of going into a parking garage.
How do you park that thing? Yeah.
I tried to find a parking spot inside of a parking garage, and it was at that point that we realized that we were coming up on one of those things that hangs from the ceiling and tells you 2 meters, no more than 2 meters.
Right.
And it was that point we had to look up the stats on the F-150 and see it was 1.97 meters tall. Right. So
hopefully you didn't have new tread on the tires, right?
Yeah, seriously. And then we realized we couldn't find a parking space in that stupid underground parking, so then I had to get out. And I'm making like 75-point turns to get around these. It was crazy. I would never drive that car.
One of the things I get questions about is, okay, Teslas are very popular here.
Yeah.
Right. Is people back home want to know, what do the Chinese really think about American cars? Because I ask my students, and they always say German cars. And,
Yeah.
German cars are good, no doubt. But man, if they break, you got to sell your house to fix it. So now I've driven the Chevys here.
You have to pay my brother your house to fix it. Yeah.
So I've driven the Chevys and the Fords here, and I'm less than impressed compared to the Chinese car. So I'm curious what because I see Buicks are very popular, obviously. Yes. There's a whole thing about Buick in China.
Yes.
But the Teslas are selling like hotcakes here. Even though it's not the best-selling EV car in China.
That would be the Mini EV, right?
Which is also a GM product.
It is, yes.
It all comes together to look something like a pug on wheels.
From the start, as a general rule, if you say to a Chinese car buyer, to generalize a little bit, the Chinese car buyer, here's a Chinese brand, here's a foreign brand. If they cost the same, they're going to buy the foreign brand, almost definitely. Because the foreign brands have more of a reputation for quality and engineering and all these things. And that is increasingly untrue. Or the gap, whatever, if it exists now, is increasingly small between the two.
The gap in engineering, but also the perception as well. Is also
the perception gap, yes, for sure. The other day I was talking to a friend of mine, and they were saying that they wanted to replace their Audi Q5. So I might want to get a Q7. I said, okay. Q7s are cool, big tanks. I said, have you thought about getting a BYD Tom, which is a similarly sized, like, big SUV? And you can get one for, in this market, let's say it's like $55,000, right? Or 300,000 RMB. You can get a really top-of-the-line one that will do 0 to 60 miles per hour in 4.5 seconds. And
yeah, you were quite taken by that car.
I like that car. Yeah, I mean, I definitely had criticisms of it because I joked about how the steering was like the video game, like a video game from the '80s, like an arcade game.
Yeah, I remember that. It was good.
But overall, I mean, it's incredible what you get for the money.
Yeah.
But and then the Audi is twice the price, at least. And so I said to him, "Have you considered that?" And he goes,
Right.
I'm not going to trade my Audi for a Chinese car. Yeah.
They're taxi cabs.
And this is a Chinese guy, yeah. And so, yeah, exactly. Depending on the city you go to, exactly. So, what cars are the taxis where you in Zhongshan?
In Zhongshan,
Which brands?
they're mostly the old Hyundai, because they're old ones. Oh no, they're GAC.
GACs,
Yeah,
okay.
they're doing that now.
The Guangqis, right? Or
Yeah.
the hybrid, the electric
It's the
ones?
electric ones.
Okay, so Ion.
Is it Ion?
Ion is
that
their
it?
electric sub-brand.
Okay,
yeah.
okay. So it's a mix. You still see
Sure.
the old Hyundai Sonatas,
Sure.
driving around. When you go to
Uh,
Shenzhen, they're all BYD.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Shenzhen is BYD. Beijing is Hyundai, because that's where the joint venture, Hyundai's headquarters is there. And
I know
they're
this
joint-
is. I'm sorry. At the airport, they're all Rollway.
Yeah.
Oh my God! I was
All
like,
Rollway-
Rollway is
or
like,
Volkswagen,
I was like,
yeah.
what's the Rollway thing about? Whatever.
'Cause
And then I get
SAIC,
here,
yeah.
well, I get here, and it's like they're everywhere.
They are.
Because
Because
SAIC.
Shanghai
What is
Automotive Industry
what is the
Corporation.
correct pronunciation of that? Because I've been calling it SIOC and BIOC, and I know that's incorrect.
I say SAIC. I have another friend who's does car reviews and stuff, an English guy that calls it Psych.
Okay.
And then there's, if you say BAIC, which is Beijing Automotive Industry Corporation, like,
I guess in the pinyin that would make sense. So.
yeah, actually it would. I hadn't even thought about that, because AI is I. Yeah.
That's another thing people don't realize is the joint venture thing about
Yes.
the markets here, and it's becoming less of a thing. Tesla's not a joint venture here.
Tesla got a really, really, really good treatment.
Yeah.
The thing that interests me the most about joint ventures, and this is something that you don't see in other markets, well, I suppose it's just kind of a different version of the badge engineering that we see. Talking about like your Ford Crown Victoria, and your Lincoln Town Car.
Mm.
You will see two cars from the same company, say Honda. Honda has the CR-V here in the Chinese market, and they have the Honda Breeze. And the Honda Breeze, you look at it and you go, that's a CR-V with a little bit of a different front end and a little bit of a different rear end, but that's a CR-V. And the reason that exists is because Honda has two different joint venture partners, Chinese local manufacturers in China.
Hmm.
And in order to, basically as a benefit mostly to Honda, but also to their partners, they will say, okay, here's the version that you get to sell. You sell the CR-V. Here's the version that you get to sell. These are both, it's going to be called the Breeze, but it's essentially the same car. They're both produced in China. By their joint venture partners.
Is that the same with the Toyota Levin
and the Corolla or whatever? Yes. It's really interesting. I've never seen that in other places. I mean, you might see like a badge engineering within a company,
right?
But like for to have their exact same models.
We just were at the Shanghai Auto Show. Great show this year, right?
Yes. I think there were some serious debuts, like the Volkswagen ID.6 and all the Mercedes-Benz EQ stuff, the EQS and EQB. Audi had their A6 e-tron, a lot of electric car stuff. One of the interesting themes, and I don't know if you noticed this, how many cars did you see with LiDAR?
A couple, actually. Well, we saw the Xiaopeng, right? The Xiaopeng P5.
Yeah.
Maybe Neo has the new Neo sedan.
The
might
ET7
have
does.
Yeah,
the ET7, I believe, and again I could be wrong. I believe the ET7 has it. The Arc Fox. Alpha S or AS. I can't remember.
That's when I get confused with which one has the Huawei technology inside.
Huawei inside. It was kind of low-key the show of LiDAR. Because LiDAR technology, when we think of LiDAR previously, it's the Google mapping cars or whatever with these massive things on the roof. Mm. And now these LiDAR panels are quite literally the size of a cell phone. And they're just on the corners of the car or in the front.
They're integrated into the design of the vehicle.
Exactly.
Now.
They're pretty subtle.
I saw that the amount of camera systems and these little sensor panels, they're just everywhere on these cars. It's insane.
The P5 specifically has 32 perception sensors, like 13 cameras, 12 different sensors, like millimeter wave radar. Pretty close.
Whatever happened to the days with when we had the Volkswagen Beetle? It's just a simple engine.
Speaking of the Volkswagen Beetle.
Well, yeah, speaking of that, okay, let's talk about
this.
Let's talk about that because I freaking loved it. I think it looked awesome. And Volkswagen discontinued the Beetle, so in my opinion, hey, it's up for grabs.
The Ola Punk Cat, which in a second we'll talk about the Lightning Cat.
Yeah.
Those will be in our electric car video. But that thing it's something, and it's. I did another video it was a Douyin video in Chinese about what do foreigners think of internet Chinese like auto shows, international auto shows. And one of the things I had to address is the unfortunate fact that for a lot of foreigners, one of the things that they love to see from these auto shows is, well, what car did they copy this time?
Right.
Which car did they
Every time.
blatantly copy?
Yeah.
And that was almost the only thing the Chinese manufacturers came out with maybe a decade ago. And it's increasingly not the case. But there are still cases like that. Ola, for example.
It took me back because
Yeah.
the Chinese manufacturers know that they have this stigma of copycatting,
Right.
and so they what they do is they go out and they hire the designers.
This is the
thing.
This
right?
is the loophole.
Yeah.
So in the case of in case of Ola, it's Porsche.
Yeah.
The designer for a former Porsche designer, which is why the Good Cat, which we drove, is kind of Porsche-esque in the front.
Yeah.
And so it was a great car. I really liked it. So when I saw them come out with this thing, I have to admit I was a little bit disappointed because I really didn't. I wanted them to continue down the vein that they had, but instead they came out with this thing that looks like a Volkswagen Beetle. And it's cool. I mean, it's pretty fun. It's hard because it looks like a Volkswagen Beetle, and people love Volkswagen
Like an
Beetle.
old Volkswagen
Right.
Beetle.
And then the other one next to it, the Lightning Cat, which was kind of a mini Panamera.
Yeah, it looks like something out of the Cars,
Yes, cartoonish.
Yeah, a little cartoonish.
They both did a little bit.
The naming of it too, the marketing. I mean, you had the big dog, with all the different dog breeds coming out, right?
we got to do. I'm sure you saw the videos. We got to do a video. We did the Haval Big Dog, and then the next video was the Ola Good Cat.
Yeah, right.
I
both
love
very well products.
I love the Chinese car market.
Yeah, they're wonderful, And then, but they also have the other Aura ones are like Black Cat, White Cat, and Good Cat, right?
So you know the reason that they have Black Cat, White Cat, Good Cat, right?
No.
Deng Xiaoping in the 1980s, this was when they were doing the reform and opening up in China, and he said, I don't care if the cat is white or black, as long as it catches the mouse, it's a good cat.
All right.
So first car, black cat, then white cat, then good cat.
All right.
So that was their little thing. And then now, of course, they're just keeping going with the punk cat and the lightning cat. And I am all about it. I love it. That's one of the things that I love so much about Chinese car manufacturers is they will come out with stuff.
They're fun.
They're so fun.
Yeah.
The interiors are Have you been inside of a Lincoln Co., for example?
Yeah, incredible.
The Lincoln Co.
But the graphics and stuff like that on the dash and
Yes.
all this stuff,
Yes.
it's not my taste. I think it's a little more millennial. I'm an
For
old
sure.
man, so it's not really for me. I'm more of a minimalistic kind of look to it, but I do
You're a
appreciate
1991 Toyota pickup kind of.
88 Chevy Beretta.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
The big talk right now in America about Chinese is electric cars and the electric car startups. I mean,
Yes.
the big dogs are coming in. We know that. We've got Ford coming in. Toyota announced their new electric cars. Look, all right. Then they have the three big startups, right, that everyone's talking about. There are more, obviously.
Chinese ones.
The Chinese ones. You got the Li Xiang.
Sure.
You've got the NIO, and you've got the Xiaopeng.
Yes.
So these are the big three that everyone in the West is watching to see which one of these am I going to be able to drive on
Right.
the roads in North America. What's your impression of these three and their rapid growth over the last decade?
So I will emphasize what you said there for a second about how everybody wants to know when they can drive it, because every time I do a review of a NIO or an Xpeng or something, like half the comments are, "When can I drive this in my country, X country?"
Right. I get the same thing.
Yeah, I'm sure. And so I will say I haven't gotten to drive a Li Xiang 1 yet, so I know you have, so I want to hear what you have to say about it. But I have driven.
By the way, you can watch that video here if you like.
Please hit the link. I love doing that. I did that.
It's up in this corner over here somewhere, right?
I did that for the first time. I did that for the first time on the Ford Evos video we just put out,
Yeah.
and I was enjoying it so much, getting the timing perfectly.
Yeah.
So I have been impressed, very impressed, both by Xpeng Xpeng, Xiaopeng, and by NIO. Having driven both of them, I think that they operate in slightly different markets. Those two. I mean, we'll start with NIO. So with NIO, the impression that I got with the EC6 that I owned, it was a more top of the line version, but those things are very, very premium.
They are.
basically.
NIO is clearly trying to offer a more premium experience than the more affordable Chinese EVs we usually drive on this channel.
As I said in my video, I mean, apart from a Mercedes-Benz, was EQC? What's the I can't believe I'm blanking on the name of the
Can't remember
Mercedes
either.
SUV. Apart from like a Mercedes-Benz electric car, they are. I don't think you're going to be able to find a more premium interior on a full electric vehicle. Tesla's obviously not going to do it. That's not what they offer.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, you haven't driven the Li Xiang
I
yet.
haven't yet. I haven't yet. And they also obviously have a lot of innovations with the battery swapping and stuff.
Yeah.
Which
Well,
is super
let me
cool.
stop you for that for a sec. This battery swap technology.
Yes.
Is it real or is it a gimmick?
It's legit.
It's legit,
It's legit.
but long term.
So that's the question.